Yo, how's it going everybody? Welcome into today's video. In today's video, I am going to be doing a tier list based upon where I rate every killer's Mori animation. This one's going to be my personal preference, and if you agree or disagree with this list, leave a comment below on where you would put that killer. I'd just like to take a moment to say a massive thank you to everybody for subscribing and support recently. We hit 5k a couple of weeks ago, just before the deadline, which is absolutely mad. Thank you guys so much. I am sticking to my word, so we will be doing a live stream this Friday. So if you're watching this on today's upload, we will be doing a live stream later as well on YouTube. So be sure to come check it out. I'd love to see you guys there. Your support has really been phenomenal. Thank you so much. First up, we've got Demogorgon. Demogorgon pounces on the survivor, stabbing them before chomping on their head and waving the survivor around like a rag doll. Now, I am a big fan of Stranger Things, but I would have liked to see the survivor's head kind of have some more damage or maybe separate or something. It is a pretty decent Mori, so I'm going to be putting this one in the good category. Next up, we've got Ghostface. Ghostface sits on the survivor before stabbing him multiple times with his knife, before taking a very iconic selfie with the poor victim. You can make a really cool Steam profile out of all of these screenshots as well. It's definitely one of the most iconic and one of the best Mori animations I think there is. It is really, really cool and unique. So in that regard, without a doubt, I'm putting this one in the epic list. Following up from that one, we've got Leatherface's Mori. Leatherface bonks the survivor over the head with his hammer before ramming his chainsaw through the back of them and chainsawing up through his body. It is very, very brutal, this animation, but it is also very iconic at the same time. It's a good old classic. I'm going to be putting this one in the amazing list. It is pretty good. This one's pretty weird. Next up, we've got the Clown's Mori. Clown stomps on the survivor's head multiple times before lifting the arm up and cutting off their finger. He then grabs the finger and then sucks it, which is quite weird, before adding it to his finger collection. This one's definitely creepy and a bit disturbing as well. So personally, I'm going to be putting this Mori in at the good list. This one's pretty shocking. We've got Doctor's Mori. Doc stands over the survivor before electrocuting the survivor's head, to which he turns over the survivor and sees him absolutely fried. I do quite like this one, and the animation was done pretty well at the time that it was released. So I'm going to be putting this one in the amazing list. Then we have Hag. Hag pounces on the survivor by attacking their throat before digging all of the survivor's insides out and then eating them. It's very gory and very cannibalistic behavior as well. This Mori is pretty cool. We'll be putting this killer's Mori into the amazing list. Now we got the killer that I main the most, Hillbilly's Mori. Hillbilly stands over the survivor before chainsawing through the back of them. This animation is very outdated and definitely does need an update because you don't really see much of the action at all. Unfortunately, as much as I like Billy, I'm going to be putting this one in at the boring list. Following up from that one, we've got the Huntress's Mori. Huntress smashes into the skull of the survivor with her axe before taking matters into her own hands and absolutely going crazy on the survivor's body with her axe. This one is very gory and the animation is also very good as well. This one's a good old classic and one that I highly rate. Very good job with this one, guys. I'm putting this one in the epic list. Then we've got Legion's Mori. This one's actually one of my favorites. It is a very good Mori where you get into this little fight scene where the survivor tries to run away. Legion stabs the survivor, pulls them back with his knife before piercing him in the chest and then dragging his knife, ripping through all of the inside of the survivor. It is a very gory, painful animation, but one that is made very, very well. I'm putting this one into the epic list. It is very interesting. This one's a bit of a nightmare. We've got Freddy's. Freddy stands behind the survivor before piercing the back of them with his claw hands, and the survivor dies. Now, I don't know what it is, but to me, this animation is just kind of basic. Can't tell if it's because there's not an awful lot of sort of movement, or if the survivor just cringily waits before their death. I'm personally not really a big fan of this one, so I'm going to be putting Freddy in at boring. Then we've got the Nurse. Nurse flips the survivor over before choking them to death. The survivor suffocates and then dies in a cruel little animation. This one is quite old and the animation is kind of basic, but I do quite like it. You don't really see this one an awful lot, but I'm going to be putting this one into the good list. This one's pretty badass. We've got the Oni. Oni stands over the survivor before piercing them in the throat with his katana, ripping out the survivor's tongue, crushing it, and then smashing the survivor with his baton. It is very gruesome and very violent as well. I love katanas, so this is a pretty cool Mori for me. I definitely do like it. It does look very, very, very badass. So that being said, I'm definitely putting this one in the epic list. I'm a big fan. Then we've got Miss Piggy. Pig stabs the survivor in the hand before slashing at their throat. It is a very short and quick Mori, but I think it is also pretty basic. Not a lot really happens in this one. So I'm going to be putting this one in at meh. I do definitely think that it could be a bit more interesting. This one's pretty sick. We've got the plague. The plague smacks the survivor over before singing some sort of ritual hymn. Picks up the survivor and then vomits into the survivor's face before smacking them over. That one's pretty vile, but the animation is pretty funny and also pretty cool. With that being said, I'm going to be putting Plagues Mori in at amazing. It's pretty good. Then we got the good old classic Michael Myers. Myers picks up the survivor before stabbing the survivor with his knife while the poor victim taps on his shoulder. And then he rams the knife in again before throwing them on the floor. I'm a big fan of Myers, and this Mori is quite cool as well. So I'm going to be putting this Mori in the amazing list. And then we have the spirit. The spirit appears behind the survivor while taking out a katana, stabbing them through the back before slashing at them many, many times and screaming at them. Now, I do actually quite like this Mori, so I'm going to be putting this one in the amazing list. Then we've got the old school Trapper. Trapper puts his foot on them before taking a slash at the survivor's back. This Mori is extremely outdated visually and absolutely needs an update. You literally don't see any cuts or anything on the survivor. It is pretty pathetic and really underwhelming. Very basic as well. So with that being said, I'm putting this one into the boring category. Really does need a bit of an update. Following up from that one, we've got Wraith. Wraith pulls back the survivor before hacking at them multiple times with his weapon. Now, visually, this also does need a massive update because he's a bit of an old school classic killer, but you don't actually see him attack the survivor whatsoever. It kind of hides it, which I really, really do dislike. That one definitely needs a massive update, so we're putting this one into the boring list. After that, we've got Deathslinger. Deathslinger stabs the survivor in the back with his bayonet before lifting them up, firing his harpoon off. This Mori is very gruesome, but also very, very epic. It's a very good animation in my opinion. I do quite like this one as well, so I'm definitely putting this one in at the epic list. Good job. Following up from that, we've got Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head lifts up the survivor before trapping them in some sort of barbed wire mechanism, and then he takes his blade, stabs it in the survivor, and then turns it. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of this sort of style of Mori, but to some this could be quite cool. Personally, I'm going to be putting this one in at the meh. I don't know, it just doesn't really interest me that much. And then we have Blight's Mori. Blight pins the survivor down before injecting them with his serum, for which the survivor gets this sort of weird bubble effect on them before he takes a big last slash at them in the head. Now, weirdly, I like the start of this animation with him stabbing them with the serum, but from then onwards, I just find that the Mori's just a bit lackluster. It just misses something. I don't know what it is. I would like it to be maybe a bit more aggressive like he was in the start of the Mori. So in that regard, I'm putting this one in at the meh category. So let me know in the comments below where you would put these Moris. Maybe you think that Freddy's Mori is really interesting. Let us know in the comments below and let's have a discussion. I'd just like to say a massive thank you so much for watching this video as well. Be sure to come and check out my other videos. Stay safe and I'll see you guys in the next one.